Welcome to Season 2, Week 4 of the Community Clash League by Heroes Hearth. My name is NotParadox, and I'll be hosting this awesome event here with me. The Iceman, the Lich King. Wait, not the Lich King, but he's so cool that it is now snowing in the Nexus. Baha, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. That, honest to God, I was not prepared for that one. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that one's a little different.
I like that one. I like that one a lot. I'm just happy to be here. I'm ready for week 4. We are in our playoffs, but Paradox, we got some teams that everyone wants to know, who's actually playing tonight. First things first, we got to let you know who's on what team. We got Not Safe for Work from Home. We got Big Ding Energy. We got Little Rubies, and we got Pentanom. Some very, very strong players on all of those teams. But we're here in week 4, and this is the knockout round. One team will be going home this evening. And first things first, what are the formats looking like, and how do we kind of get to this point?
So in the last 3 weeks, we have ran a round robin Swiss format so that each team got to play against every other team. So every team got to see what the other teams were bringing. And now we're at the point that we are left with a bracket. And this type of bracket is going to leave it to where this week a team is eliminated. Next week, a team is eliminated. And the final week, we are going to have a best of 7s unweighted. And it's going to be intense. So the teams that we're going to be watching today, Not Safe for Work from Home, Big Ding Energy, they're going to be clashing against each other. They've played against each other. They know how each other plays. And now it's going to be their time to learn from that, to adapt, and hopefully bring something that the other team isn't expecting. Then later today, we're going to be seeing Little Rubies versus Pentanoms. That game last week was so close that it could go any way. And again, these teams now know what the other ones are going to bring. So I'm very excited. I think today is going to be probably one of the biggest events as far as like the craziness that can happen today.
I want to quickly shout out Dax in chat with 11,500 bits to kick things off. We have, I think it looks like 25% from here. Like, dear Lord, thank you so much, Dax. Also, Dingo, thank you for the 600 bits. And also, Gustav, thank you for the 100. But we got a whole big chunk at the start. Very, very, very appreciated. But next, we got to tell you where all these bits are going to be going. How are people going to be earning the money that you've been donating? And also to note, on that note of money earned, we have raised just under $2,000 for this prize pool. So first place will take $500 and 40% of that near $2,000, but you're already, skyrocketing that this evening. So it's going to be something different next week. Second place will take $400 and 30%. Third place will take $300 and 20%. And fourth place will take $200 and 10%. So you can see right there, these players, they're going to be getting an initial chunk of money, but you can increase that prize pool. The games will get sweatier, and I think these players will really, really try and put more things on the line. Maybe we see that Samuro. Maybe we see those TLV. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to see some stuff like that, especially like Turk's practiced a ton of TLV, so I'm ready to see more of it. And again, I do want to thank everyone for the donations. We've been able to hit our goals these past 3 weeks, and it's already looking strong today. I also do want to share a quick thank you to the sponsor. Juke GG has been helping us out. Juke.gg is an awesome website with a collection of all of your favorite esports. You can follow different games, teams, players, and you can check point of view streams for many of your favorite players, including this very event. Check them out at juke.gg. So make sure to check that out. But seriously, thank you guys. This is already starting off awesome. We're at 37%. We need to hit that 35,000 today, as well as that extra $100. But with all of that,
I think if Caster Math serves me right, 1,500 bits. Sorry, we're missing. There's a lot of single bits in here, and there's no way for me to really tally without just sitting there counting it.
Go through this one.
Yeah,
2, 3, 4.
But thank you seriously, everyone, for starting the hype train. Dark Shear as well for giving 200 bits. Iron Flare with 100. Really, really appreciate the support this evening. Looks like one team is ready. Actually, both teams are ready. So let's go ahead, let them know we're going to get going into game number 1 here. I'm going to double check all of my notes to make sure we don't have to redo the lobby. We're all set on all that. Captains are all set. Well, let's go ahead and push the button and get into game number 1 as we find ourselves here on Volskaya Foundry. And for anyone sitting at home wondering, wait a minute, Bahamut, how do we get to Volskaya? I got you covered, friends. The coin flip was initially won by Not Safe for Work from Home. They opted for first pick for game number 1, banning out Hanamura and Garden of Terror. Dragonshire and Sky Temple were banned up by the members of Big Ding Energy, and they've chosen to take us to Volskaya. Paradox, as we get into our bans here, looking at both these teams, do we see the Ragnaros ban? Oh, it's going to be a Tracer ban immediately. Going to be just say Mochrie? Nah.
Yeah, I honestly, I think the strategy that worked for Not Safe for Work From Home last time that they faced Big Ding Energy was ban Tracer, ban Ragnaros, and you don't really need to worry about the rest of the big things, because Aullora's been kind of shoved into the solo lane, and her best solo laner is Rag. She doesn't have a great backup for that. Her Malthael's pretty good, but they can handle it. So that's been working for them. They're going to go with that again. On the other side, this last ban's going to determine a lot. They've been banning Leoric. This time they banned the Deathwing. I think that's a really good choice. Because their team drafted very CC heavy, and by getting rid of the Deathwing, they can now CC the enemy teams a little bit better. The downside is they need to be able to close out this game before 20, because Leoric always goes, Turk on Leoric always goes that level 20 build, and he'll swing a couple times and boom, he's this unkillable force that's unstoppable for a huge portion of that.
I was about to say, like, I wonder what they're going to play into this Leoric, and I kind of like the idea of some range. I was thinking, I was like, Malthael, yeah, you can maybe kind of win the 1v1 a little bit harder into that Leoric, but I think the Lunara poke potential, the power spike at level 16, overall, I think it's a very strong pick, and it's a very comfortable pick for Aullora. They also grab a Rhaegar, which will be Bloodlust friendly. On the opposing side, there is going to be a Decker Kane. Decker Kane brings so much to the table at level 4 with Ruby. Like, I can't tell you how many games as a potato gold player that I have actually kept going because of the fact that I can hit the 1 key and then hit my W and have a lot of juice on the ground for my team to stay alive, and people just can continue to dive in. And speaking of diving, there's going to be a Greymane to be diving in. I love this start for the members of Not Safe for Work From Home.
It's a really, really good comp, and they're leaving the tank open so that Russ can kind of adjust based off what they need. They're also leaving their mage open, same rules. I mean, you can adjust based off of what you need. Greymane fits pretty much any situation. Mal'Ganis got banned. That means that Russ is going to look more towards probably Garrosh or ETC, and it should be pretty good, I would say. Either one can certainly work. I'm curious, Selenityy most likely will go Li Ming. As far as the other side, though, Sylvanas probably should get banned here because Jazzy plays a mean Sylvanas, and it's one of Sylvanas' best maps with Merc Queen, where you can buff up those turrets. But we do see a Garrosh ban, as we've also seen Mochrie run that Zarya with Garrosh to flip people in really quick.
I wonder if they ETC here to deny Russ the ETC, because I don't think we've seen Russ on anything outside of like Garrosh ETC in this tournament. If I'm trying to think back, and I'm like, I don't remember a Murden, I don't remember, maybe there was a Joanna in there, but like outside of maybe those core 3. So I with the Greymane with the Leoric, this is 100% an ETC in my opinion. This pairs so well together. And I think you're mentioning Jaina. Ooh,
I like it. I
love a Mephisto. This is actually a great map for him, and he just cooldown reduction, poke potential, even set up with the ETC. I love this Mephisto pickup.
Yeah, honestly, it's a good option for Volskaya. People have to sit on the point, which means it gives Mephisto a lot of time to do a lot of damage. I cannot see this not being Sylvanas here, right? Am I crazy? They didn't have a solo laner. I mean, I figured they would have just thrown Lunara in the solo lane.
No, same. That's at the start of the draft. I was just like, oh,
that's
Lunara
what I thought. I thought they were just
right.
Okay, they're just gonna do that. Artanis is good. Jazzy Artanis is pretty good. She actually got pretty well known for using Artanis, but I feel like, I mean, I don't know. It's tricky. Like, I really think that Sylvanas would have been a great pick. It's gonna be interesting if they decide to always swap off whenever Ragnaros gets banned.
I think the other thing as I look at this draft is maybe they were thinking that their front line is a little too thin, or at least just that's too much on just Joanna to kind of have on their shoulders for this game. So maybe they wanted to beef up that front line a little bit. And it does pair, I mean, Bloodlust Artanis. I mean, you are going to get full value from that. I don't think Sylvanas would get as much value from a Bloodlust, and I think this Artanis might play into that a little bit stronger. We'll have to see what happens with this one. I'm super, super excited for game number 1. Now, prediction-wise, for the series, honest to God, I think it's still going to be 2-0 in favor of Big Ding Energy. I don't know.
You're doing it. You're good, then.
I want 100% incorrect predictions. That's what I want for season 2, okay? And I'm close.
I like the adaptation of banning the Deathwing because that was one of the big factors that messed with them before. But seeing Leoric go into that type of team that wants these really fast fights, which I'll get more into it after the introductions. I'm going to start off by introducing Not Safe for Work from Home and their team. We've got Coffee on Greymane. We've got Russ on ETC. We've got Selenityy on Mephisto. We've got Kiyeberries playing Deckard and Turk on Leoric.
And on the right-hand side, we got the members of Big Ding Energy. We'll be having Aullora on Lunara. We've got Jazzalene on Artanis, Mochrie on the Tassadar, Vipey on the Joanna, and AliciaWins will be on that Rhaegar. Quick shout-out to everyone in chat. Selexia, thank you for the 690 bits. Shady Tree, thank you for the 1,500. Bert, Blaine, thank you for the 500. Angry Dwarf, I saw it somewhere up there. It was like 3K bits, but let's go ahead and get into game number 1 of our first of 2 best of 3s this evening.
Yeah, this is going to be a wild game. I mean, it's definitely going to come down to how these first 3 objectives turn, right? Because if they get to 20s, you're going to have to deal with this Leoric who's going to be a monster. Yes, you will have level 20 Tassadar, but you've got Rhaegar who wants these fast fights. You've got Infinite Archon who wants slow fights. And then you have Turk, who's going to mitigate all slow fights by just eating all of that damage out, healing all of it, and draining through everyone. You've got Mephisto, who can handle these slow or long fights. So, honestly, Not Safe for Work from Home's draft, I feel like is a little bit better, but at the end of the day, it comes down to execution. Which of these teams is going to execute their comp a little bit better? Because even just a tiny bit better, you get a couple level lead, and you pretty much just dominated one of these games. So both of these teams starting off strong, though.
Yeah, camp rotations are really good, grabbing this immediately. There is going to be an invade from Turk potentially right now. They actually do have that scouting out with Lunara's Wisp. ETC power slides in. That's going to be a lot of damage onto AliciaWins, who's trying to work their way out of this one. Turk still chasing in, does have the damage over time with the Spectral Leash, but doesn't find that last little bit of damage onto Alicia. Russ will end up going down. The turret was grabbed on the left and already used over here. Mochrie very low, will be going down. Lunara as well. We have such a bloodlust at the start, and that'll be 1 for 3. Dear Lord. I said bloodlust, but either way, you know what I meant, chat.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, that was a wild fight. And it's interesting that Russ, he knew to just stay. He had the resources to leave that fight. But he's like, if I stay, this will be a favorable trade. Both teams use up their turrets to get that favorable trade. Early kills are not worth too much, so if one team just double soaks a little bit more, they'll be able to catch back up. But in this case, they currently have, Not Safe for Work currently has a full level lead. And that's going to be very important as this objective starts spawning, because this objective usually spawns at that point where both teams are about level 6, and the team that hits level 7 first usually finds themselves at an advantage on this first objective.
You were noting that, not a lot of experience came from that first little engagement, and just for anyone wondering, it's 3-to-1 in kills. So 3 kills yielded 1,080 experience, and 1 kill yielded 358. Just in perspective of everything else, it's only been 2 minutes and 42 seconds. Minions on both sides are near 6K experience. So it's just something to note. Like, yeah, early game kills are strong, and you might be able to deny some minion experience, because you can already see they're almost catching up in that level lead that was already starting to form. So early experience, yeah. Domination, very, very good. You can also kind of get under the player's skin a little bit, but how do you feel about comms for Not Safe for Work from Home right now? Oh, wait, hold on. Selenityy needs to get out of here first. They're going to be going down. You know what? Let's still jump into their comms and see how they're going to be going about this.
Sometimes,
All right, so we're going to start this down a Selly.
Never mind.
They're on heal pack camp.
Let's get as much of this as we can, though, right?
I think we can contest that.
We need to soak bot as well, maybe.
I need a body on this bad boy, and I can go grab. Okay, you got bot.
I'm gonna get top soak.
All right, I'm prepared to run for my life.
If they
yeah. In fact, we should probably do our camp, right?
I might run for my life here. Here we go.
Yeah, we're at it. We don't need this
There you
anymore.
Do we want to do this camp?
Yeah, silly,
I'm gonna
let's
get
go.
one wave here. Yeah,
It's
you
like
guys should do the
real
camp.
sneaky-like.
Actually, they might invade.
They
I'm coming
know!
down. I'm on my way.
Let's just focus on hitting them, not on the camp.
I'm gonna. Oh.
That was a hell of a swap.
We should just get out. We should just get out.
Yeah, just get out. Get out.
We're fighting on a healy thingy.
One more cut.
Oh, they dropped the heal. They dropped the
So
heal.
close,
Okay.
so close.
Up the heal can't. That's fine.
It's like they smell when Russ is somewhere else.
True.
And they're just like, go in.
Make your peace quickly.
Definitely some interesting comms right there, but I want to say the big thing, the swap from Jazzy. Hello? That swap from Jazzy was such a game changer in that fight right there, and they're now going to be sitting 60% and rising. Now, everyone is back up on the side of not safe for work from home, so they are able to come back and fight over this camp. And I wonder, no, they're not going to try and back off and work for 10s here. They're giving this over, which is a little confusing. Are they going for 10s?
No, there's no way. They have double turret. They can take this back whenever they want to. I think they're just seeing if they can kind of float the experience a little bit. But honestly, they just need to get right back in there. They've got double turrets. There's no way that they lose this objective. We've got Russ getting a really powerful slide. Jazzy's getting taken out rather early. Vipey's also taking a good chunk of damage. There is a ton of healing coming out from that Deckard and those rubies. So the turrets go down and actually just get dropped. So maybe they did need to wait for that level 10, but I just don't think they had the time to do it.
So they'll grab this first Trigger Protector. It's going to do what I would assume is going to be the standard here. They'll be able to rotate into top lane, get the front gate, probably go for the well, and then maybe split back down into mid lane. And then once they have that gate down as well, they can kind of back off. But we'll see what ends up happening with this one. 10 talents here will be up on both sides. Front gate goes down. They're actually going to split into the back line. Tassel are going to pop the Archon form, trying to get onto Coffee right here, taking a lot of damage. Huge Bloodlust as well, as they do find the kill onto Greymane, and they don't really get that much in the top lane on the side of not safe for work from home. Really good defense from Big Ding Energy in this first Trigger Protector phase.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about having a protector. You early protectors, you gotta always know who you want to put in. A lot of times teams will actually put in a healer first and a tank so that the rest of their team can do more damage. But then if you put in a healer and a tank, then you won't have that tank, you won't have that front line, so you can just dive right past and kill someone else. The fountain is still available. They decided to drop it because, I mean, it's still at half health bar, but it wouldn't be risking going back in like that. But yeah, it's definitely a tricky one. That protector didn't get that much value, and I think they really wanted more from it. They can still definitely get that though.
I'm watching minimap to see what they're going to be doing here. Looks like Artanis is just down in bottom lane. Mochrie is poking at this with 85 stacks on that shock ray, static charge at level 1. Shock ray is the extra ability, but they just want to make sure that they don't fall behind in experience. So Jazzy's still in bottom lane, soaking up for the friendly team. Mochrie going into top lane. Looks like Selenityy and Lakefu, or excuse me, not Lakefu, Kiyeberries will be going over and grabbing the camp on the left-hand side, while Alicia and Aullora grab the one on the right. So it's a lot of lane prep right now. They're getting ready for control point B. We might see a skirmish in between them, but most of the time I think they're just going to be clearing waves, putting things on the map, and just getting closer to that 13 talent tier.
Yeah, and this is always an interesting one. Do you cap these immediately? Because this objective up here, if you cap it immediately, you get the extra experience. They go in, they push a little bit. If you wait for the objective to spawn, they don't get that much value, because the second objective on this map is always top. And if your whole team's already top, it's easy to quickly clear a camp and then go right back. So that's the thing about that, is like, do you just want it for the experience, or do you want to try to use it as like even a mini distraction for that? We see 4 people, as far as not safe for work from home, just pushing up top. They still want to grab this fountain if that's a possibility. But with the 13s going over to Big Ding Energy, I don't think they can go for it. What do you expect in Baja as far as this next objective approaches? Is there anything that one of these teams needs to do differently here? Is there a power spike that one of these teams is going to be picking up here at 13 that's going to really help out?
I would actually say the biggest thing is, I think, just watching for the swaps from Jazzy. Jazzy needs to be, I think a lot hinges on them getting a good swap and getting into that backline. That way they can pop someone like Selenityy. I think that's the most crucial thing when it comes to the next team fight, which is what I was most kind of anticipating. I was also skimming while you're talking about that. I was skimming through the heroics and looking at some of the other talents. We do have March of the Black King. It is very much that single target or multi-target setup with the members of Not Safe for Work from Home. You have a Mosh Pit, you have Endurance of Hate, you've got the Stay While and Listen, so all of those can kind of layer on top of each other or set each other up. Meanwhile, March of the Black King will probably be used as a defensive tool. A little bit. I'm waiting for the potential skirmish here. Also, Decker Kane went into Shard of Hate, excuse me, into Ancient Blessings at level 13 instead of going into the super potions, which I have found, especially with the level 20 bottomless flask, is really, really helpful. But even then, you can go perfect gems at level 20, and that gives you like a 5-second ruby or something like that. It's absolutely insane. So I don't know. There's a lot of prep right now. It seems like no one really wants to fight, but as I said beforehand, the big thing I think is going to be on Jazzy to land a big swap and Vipey to follow up with a Blessed Shield. We'll see what happens here as they do find Kiyeberries. Force Wall, there's going to be a Stay a While, which is interrupted by the Blessed Shield. There's going to be a Bloodlust as well from the Rhaegar. They're almost getting one kill. Moshpit comes down from Russ. Kiyeberries is somehow living through all this. Mochrie is throwing out damage in Archon form, but that will be AliciaWins going down. Mochrie's still just trying to get 8 kill as the Joanna goes down as well. Power slide through. They find the kill onto the Tassadar. Aullora will be able to get out of there, and Jazzy backing off as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really focus down a Deckard. You just get so much healing, and if she gets to know that you're focusing on her, like if Kiyeberries is watching, you're focusing on her, guess what? You're going to have a Kanai's Cube, your damage is reduced by 30%. You then drop 3 rubies around you, which she can walk around and full heal herself. And then she just pops Ancient Blessings while she's near Greymane. Greymane goes off and gets a kill, and she just walks up and starts whacking away at Tassadar, gaining all of her life back. And that's not going to be the answer, right? That's definitely not going to be the way that they're going to be winning these team fights. They need to approach it at a different angle and start going for something different. I personally think in coordinated, I like Black Hole a little bit more than Archon, because you get to actually like pull everyone together, put a wall up, and they all get stuck up against that wall for your whole team to just drop them. But I know Mochrie really does like Archon, and I mean, he plays aggressive with it, as we just saw, getting behind the enemy team with that Archon. This is going to be the second objective for Not Safe for Work from Home, though.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people go for Archon when they pair that with the Bloodlust as well, just for that, double stacking factor of that. But I agree, like, Black Hole has so much setup. Also, I saw some things in chat, like Ruby OP, Deckard, please, all that kind of stuff, It's wild. We went from a 20-second CD on Ruby, and everyone was like, it's all right here and there, and it's like the most mandatory talent at level 4 for this Deckard Kane now, as you can see how many potions are on the ground. Honest to God, I feel like they need to reduce the healing of those potions, like, by a lot. It should not heal. It's like, let me do a little caster math for all of you, okay? The healing potion right now heals for 506, a single potion on the ground. A ruby heals for 469.
Yeah, it's like 90% of a full potion, all in that tiny little vial. And they've buffed this talent so many times, and I think there was a point where they could probably undo all of the healing buffs to it and just leave the cooldown, because that makes it a little bit more consistent without it being this strong to be able to pretty much full heal a team off of one good ruby. So it's really, really big. With that being said, we see Vipey playing a little aggressive, going into the back line, maybe trying to set up a fight. We do see a pull going in. Russ just is knocking everyone back, though. He's keeping up the peel. Not too much of an engage can come from that. The fountain is gone down at bottom lane, which means that a Bloodlust is going out. We have that March doing a ton of damage. Turk gets rather low, and we've got an amazing Blessed Shield keeping him down. Coffee's getting rather low. Healing gets dropped down. Russ is also getting dropped, and now, once again, that aggressive play from Tassadar, getting into their backline, throwing walls out, and they're able to wipe the team with 15 rubies just sitting in the middle of nowhere that no one can pick up.
Oh, that's such a rough moment right there. They had so much momentum in their favor. They had built this up. They had won team fight after team fight, and to lose that much right there is devastating for a team. I'm just curious right now. Yeah, we have got about a 2,000 deficit when it comes to just heroic experience from kills in a 7 to 8 kill game. So finding some wind beneath their wings on the side of Big Ding Energy. But they do have to manage their lanes a lot here, so this does give time for people to respawn. I don't think they're going to get like a fort or any sort of massive lane prep outside of maybe just a camp or two. Yeah, I think this is... They get a couple kills, but they're mostly just going to regain, I think, map control overall from this entire engagement.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's very underrated is when people like to fight all the time, especially in the lower ranks, there's fights without rewards, and that's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand. Like when you use a lot of resources to win a fight without a reward, you usually want to win fights over camps, over objectives. But if you start winning a lot of fights that are when there's no camps up, no objectives up, you can't really do too much with them. In this particular case, though, the game is getting longer. So that means death timers are also getting longer. So it's going to be very rare that there's going to be ever any fights without rewards. But either way, I mean, if you can take a team wipe, then you take a team wipe whenever you can do that.
We do see them actually just nearing 20, so they'll have that 20 talent tier advantage. And I wonder, does Big Ding Energy try and go for force a fight with the advantage, or do they just they play this a little passively and just say, you know, we'll fight you on the point, we'll probably have even talent tiers? Like, that's the one thing I'm looking at their posturing, and it seems like they might go for it. Mochrie kind of playing towards that top, everyone hovering around mid lane. Yeah, I think that's the call.
Yeah, they're going for it. They're definitely going for it. A good wall right here could set up. You definitely don't want the enemies. Oh, Coffee's in a rough spot. Great escape though. And then that's wall. Everyone's able to get away from the wall safely. Great route. A lot of rubies available if they need it, but they don't need it. They pretty much just give up this fort and take a step back. That should be giving level 20s to both teams before this objective. We see Russ up top. Or sorry, Turk up top.
You know, let's get into their comms. Big Ding Energy comms. This is going to be good, I think, because they're on the upwind on this.
Leo,
We know it's out there, but where are we going?
Control it, and you can pilot the
The camp's in 20.
Someone's on it. Someone's on it. Just go straight to objective.
Come on. Interrupt the stat. Interrupt the stat. Sunny.
Hang on.
Okay.
Okay.
Kai.
Broken that. Okay.
We're good.
Alright, leave Alicia on it. If you need heals, come to Alicia. She'll have some.
Do you want me to go stop the
For the heals.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
Everyone else steal this with me. Everyone else steal this with me.
Coming.
Let's go.
You want healer with us or not?
Or top keep. Just.
Yeah, come on over, Alicia. Just start rotating just in case.
I think Leo.
They let us have it.
I think Leo left.
Yeah.
Okay, he's still here.
He's still top.
Oh, he's backing. He's backing.
Resetting. We're not trying to do anything too crazy while she's gone. I don't want to push this too hard. I can like WQ this and then I'm gone.
I heard.
Careful, Leo back, so it's gonna be a 4v4 if they all show up there.
Yeah, I think they're doing their siege camp right now, but I don't want to risk.
Some very enthusiastic comms coming out right there. I actually looked over at chat and someone was just like, what is this gibberish? And like, I was having trouble hearing it, but like, in a sense, it was all clear at the same time. Like, I knew exactly who they were trying to focus and what the overall game plan of that fight was. While it was loud and insane, that is very much what comms typically are. And do we have a backdoor top lane for a keep?
Honestly, I mean, that's one of the best plays. They're going to lose a fort, but they're going to gain a keep. And I think that's definitely something you want to go for. Solo Mosh just taking out the Artanis as fast as possible. But it looks like Russ could also go down here. Great wall coming out from Mochrie, able to lock down Russ. And that is going to be, again, that's the trade that they decided to go for. Gain a keep, lose a fort, and now they can just simply back up. Except for, again, Mochrie's not giving up right now. Ton of damage coming out from his Q. He is going a little bit of a hybrid build, but it's mostly Q build with not Infinite Archon. He's going with the more walls, and they are paying off.
I missed that, and I was just like, I saw the wall come out again. I was like, that's really quick, and I was like, that range. And then I looked over. I was like, oh my god, they did take Force Barrier at level 20. For anyone who doesn't know, that puts Force Wall on an 8-second cooldown, and the cast range is increased by 50%, as well as it has a 0.5 duration increase. That is insane, but also to note, as you were saying, you know, a little bit of a hybrid build, Thermal Lance at level 16 got so much value because that shock rail deals an additional 8% of the target's health. Selenityy
pretty big.
Got destroyed by that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you hit like a squishy with that Q, you can legitimately do like 40% of their health with a Q because you're stacked with the static charge. He has 190 extra damage with static charge. Then you get a combo that with 8% of their health, and it already has a flatline high amount of damage. So if we were to pull up just its flatline damage, it's 664 damage plus almost 200 plus 8% of their health. I mean, you're almost doing half of an assassin's health. So it is very powerful.
Tassadar had changes. When they initially came out, I went into games and I was playing it, and I remember playing up against a Tracer. I lost this game, but the most amazing thing is that anytime I was up against this Tracer, if I queued into them, it was the majority of their health. Like, if I just had someone else to dive in with me, I would have been able to get consistent kills. The Bloodlust will be coming out. There's going to be a swap from Jazzy as well. There's a healing Vital Committer on the ground. I thought there was a mosh pit, but that's not happening. Russ goes down. There's a force wall as well. The Turk gets picked off as well. Kiyeberries locked in here, drops the stay while, but actually gets interrupted. That's a triple kill. They rush through bottom lane. You can see the go pings. They want to try and take game number 1 here. Paradox, not safe for work from home, might lose their first game of this entire CCL season.
This would be the first game that they lost. I mean, it would come down to something crazy. We do have Mimic doing a lot of damage, but Selenity's getting walled off. Coffee's doing as much damage as he possibly can. The Durance goes out, does not land, and now everyone, 5 people, are just attacking the core. They're almost just completely ignoring both Selenityy and Coffee because they don't need to worry about it. Task goes down, but that is game the first loss on Not Safe for Work From Home right here. And this is looking like it's going to be a really, really good series because we've got Big Ding Energy, who got, I mean, without another way to say it, they got destroyed last week. And now look at this showing. They show up, they lose a couple objectives, they save a lot of their items, they hit the power spike that they want to, and then they get kills, right? They get in there, they get a couple kills, they close out the game. And that was a good way to close out the game because if they would have made it last just even a little bit longer, they have to deal with Turk's level 20. And they never really gave him a shot. Like, Turk was alone a lot of the time. They fought him while he was alone. Or they charge in on them so Turk doesn't get that shot to actually use the ult when there's a fight worth fighting for, worth using that. So they had really good comms there. They played that out really, really well. I'm very excited to see what map we decide to go to on the next one because it's going to take a little bit of thought, I would say, from Not Safe for Work From Home to determine like what they need to bring, what they need to change in order to beat this team. Because I think they've learned what to ban to beat them, but now since Deathwing's banned, they will need to adjust their strategy, I think.
Well, we know what one team wants, and it will be first pick, so we'll find out what the map is going to be in just a second. I still have the stats up, so I want to talk about these for a hot second. Do you think by doing 62,000 heroic damage, Tassadar makes it into the next game?
Yeah, I mean, what are your choices, right? You ban...
That is actually, you know what? I said that, and I was like, oh wait, yeah, but everything is target ban in our tournament series.
Exactly.
So like...
What do you have to let Rag go through, but you let Rag go through, you lose, right? You let Tracer go through, you lose. And so the problem is like you can let Task go through, but you can take Task because remember Selenityy played Task.
That is true.
So maybe she picks that earlier. Leoric still needs to be first picked because that's the real threat that your team runs. That's the real comp that your team runs. But maybe instead of picking Greymane first, because remember, Mochrie picked Task rather late into that draft, you just pick it first. But you could also just play against it. You got to remember how new Tassadar works, right? He has a lot going for him as far as the damage output and the walls and all of that. He has very little going for him for escape. So I think that's why his playstyle has been so aggressive that he gets right in their backline because their team is diving into his backline, so he goes into their backline, so you kind of forget where he went. And so I think the best option would be watch where he's going, and instead of jumping in and trying to kill the backline, which doesn't really exist because both Lunara and Task were diving in, just be patient. If Coffee's a little bit more patient, if Selenity's a little bit more patient, maybe they just kill Tassadar when he starts moving in, and that would be much better because he just doesn't have any escapes. That's one of the big downsides. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of damage that he brought out, a lot of wave clear too. I mean, he did 189,000 siege damage, 24,000 experience contributed. He brought so much to this game.
It's like this Tassadar, I think it gets stolen away 100%. The teams are still talking out what they want to do map-wise here. It's a very long discussion, but you know what? I think there is a little bit of some jitters that happened today. You know, last week, the previous weeks, it was fun. It was just for points for the seeding. This is, I mean, this match right here is not knockout. This will knock someone into the lower bracket. You know what? Let's go ahead. Let's show everyone what the page playoff looks like. So that way, when we talk about this, everyone has kind of a visual and we can actually see exactly who's lining up where and who might get dropped out this evening. So you can see we're in the upper bracket this evening, or the upper pages we like to call it. Not safe for work from home, going up against Big Ding Energy, who is up 1 in this best of 3 series. The loser of this match will go into the best of 5 next week. And then our second match of tonight, it's going to be a best of 3. The winner of that match will go up against the loser of this match next week. And the loser of that one will be going home, and they'll be taking 4th place. And I believe, what was it? 20% of the, it's $200 and 20% of the prize pool, if I remember correctly. So
Yeah,
it's the end of the run for someone, but unfortunately,
like that, but yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the way things go. But we do have a map getting everyone in here in just a second, so you can also see the breakdown. So excuse me, it was $200% and $200 and 10% of the prize pool. But we'll go ahead and get all the players into Tomb of the Spider Queen for our second map of this best of 3 series. And Paradox, you know, I always say it. This is a really good map for Cho'Gall. Just saying.
This is, yeah, Tomb of the Spider Queen is an interesting map. It's a map that has a lot of odd strategies. HGC, we actually saw some of the strangest strategies in this map. It's one of the older maps in the game, which means that it's been around. We've seen a million different things. We've seen like a Medi version of Juice Pirates before, where you portal past things, you destroy their keep, and then you portal back, and then you portal and you destroy their fort, and then you start off the game where the enemies are already missing a fort and a keep before anyone's even hit level 5. So we've seen wild stuff like that. We've seen strategies where people, I mean, one of the most common strategies that we saw around like 2017 was Nazrag, right? We had Nazeebo, who needed to hit level 20, and we had Ragnaros, who would delay all of the enemy's objectives and just weaken all of the enemy's objectives to guarantee that Nazeebo hit that level 20. We've seen a bunch of stuff on this map. But yes, this is also a map where we could see some Cho'Gall.
Paradox, why am I looking over at chat and I just see Cho'Gall lol? What is all that? Why do people not realize how good Cho'Gall can be on this map?
I think anyone who saw last season, when they saw Leon play Cho'Gall, and I mean, he was killing everyone in 3 auto attacks, right? He went the auto attack build, he pressed Q, giving him what is it, like 200% attack speed or something? Let me pull up Cho'Gall really quick. Let me see that talent really quick. You gain 75% attack speed for 5 seconds after using your Q, and then what is it, level 4 consecutive auto attacks do 60% more damage, meaning that he would Q in, do 3 auto attacks, and literally kill someone, and then he would just be gone, and he would still be full health, and he would be moving 15% faster. I mean, he was terrifying, and there was no way to stop him. And even Leon said last season, he's like, I don't know why this doesn't get nerfed. And then it got nerfed right after that game. I think Blizzard watched that and went, wow, like, we've never seen anyone even run this build, and seeing it into competitive right now, it's terrifying. So yeah, it is one of those that I think Cho'Gall is easy to counter, which is why we don't see him a lot in competitive. But if you can sneak him out late, he can be rather scary.
That is like, I love the idea of a Cho'Gall always. I'm going to harass these players. Who are we missing? Because I'm trying to talk to you, and now I need to look at a list and harass one specific person. Oh, Aullora. Oh, Aullora.
Darn.
Shame.
Yeah,
let's find the teams already. Oh wow. Witch MDs, I think it is. Thank you so much for the 500 and then some bits. Very much appreciated towards that prize pool. What are we looking at right now? Because I can't fully see. It looks like 62% of our bits. Thank you all so much for supporting and cheering on this wonderful, wonderful event. But we are just about ready here for game number 2. I think we got the hats ready to go. I think everyone's ready.
They are where they need to be, yes.
All right. We're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to double check myself. And let's go ahead and get into it, because we are here on Tomb of the Spider Queen for game number 2. This is going to be the map choice of Big Ding Energy as not safe for work from home. The losing team chose first pick for our game 2. Going into first pick priority, do you think that they might I mean, we're going to kind of back it up to the conversation we were having at the end of the last game. Do you think they try and go for that Tassadar immediately? Good wave clear, good poke, good single target burst, good control within these corridors, and just I just say corridors in general in Tomb of the Spider Queen, because there's so many opportunities to block someone off with a force wall.
They could. They definitely could. I still think it's kind of like a Turk priority, right? I think they want to try to get whatever Turk's pick is first. That means they're going to grab a Leoric, or they're going to grab Deathwing, whatever is left open. This is one of those maps where you could leave Vikings open just because it's such a small map. Rotations are so common that Vikings loses a lot of its power. It's not an objective that people have to fight for long periods of time, so you don't gain that huge soak. So this is a map that I would, if I was Big Thing Energy, I would leave the Lost Vikings open. And I would give it over to the opposing team. Because if Turk decides to go Lost Vikings, this is one of the maps that I personally think is one of their weaker maps. So if he decides to pick it, you're at a pretty big advantage. So they could actually ban Deathwing and Leoric here. And then Turk would most likely end up, I mean, that would require them to either shift up some things or... Yeah, I doubt he goes for Vikings. Junkrat is available. I mean, he has some other options.
Yeah, he's got, like, I know in the past, like, season 1, I talked about this a couple weeks ago. In season 1, they 1v1'd, I want to say it was Kyle Ferguson in bottom lane. It was like Kyle and Thrall. They were on Tychus, and like we were talking about something, and all of a sudden it was just like Thrall died. It was like, wait, what? And we go down there, and it's just Tychus with like most of their health still, just running it down the lane. So yeah, go ahead.
Tychus, yeah, I was just gonna say, Tychus actually has the earliest 100-0 combo by himself. At level 4, he can do 100% of even a bruiser's health as early as level 4. Because you take Bigger They Are to 70% of someone's health in like 2 to 3 seconds. Then you do your Q, which you can chase them down with your Q and finish them off with a W. You can even take out a bruiser that way. So you can 1v1. I don't recommend it because you don't have a lot of self-healing. We see Joanna being picked up first. That Leoric's still available, but I don't think anyone on the opposing team really wants to take Leoric away just because of familiarity. But it'll be interesting to see what they go with. Jazzy on that Artanis would be interesting to see that again. I would say but she doesn't even need to pick it yet, right? Because I don't think that's going to be contested. Even though that's a pretty good counter to Bloodlust. Bloodlust into a big blind zone is pretty solid. So it is an option, but I don't know if Turk plays enough Artanis to make it worth that.
This is, I wouldn't say like predictable, but you know, they got Lunara for Aullora. They got Rhaegar because Bloodlust is just so strong. I think they're actually considering, I'd be sitting here considering the Tassadar myself. Yeah. Yeah. They were thinking about it for a second. They were like, well, do we want any sort of specific healer? Can we go with whatever healer? I think Kiyeberries is probably like, well, I might not get Deckard here. I would ban out Deckard, honestly. Like, I don't want to deal with that because Mochrie, I wouldn't say struggled, but legitimately struggled to get a kill on Kai in a couple situations because of exactly what you broke down. Her Roderick Cube with upgrades that give damage reduction to the enemy player. You have the Ruby value as well, so you can self-sustain. But they're actually going to get rid of Coffee's Greymane. They're going to force Coffee onto a different hero. I think they're expecting Coffee not to do Kill Dazad here, so they're not going to double mage because Tassadar is considered a mage. So Coffee's going to have to go onto something else. We'll see what that will be. But what do we ban on the left-hand side here, Paradox?
I mean, you could go into that Garrosh Zarya if you want to. They've been running again the Rhaegar, so I would keep in mind what there is. The Artanis ban would be interesting. There's the Artanis ban, purely because the swaps were forcing fights that they didn't want to take, and they were setting up these fights that they would blind the opposing team, they would Bloodlust, they would charge in and just immediately dominate. But I mean, part of that's also Bloodlusted Tassadar is pretty brutal. So since they already took away some of the pieces, they did already weaken that composition. But we'll see what goes on. I would imagine it's a Garrosh Zarya here to force fights, but it could be. Ooh. Oh, that's interesting.
If I recall, Jazzy does play a really strong Rexxar. Like, if I recall back, because I used to play with Jazzy ages ago in a group, and they would play a bunch of Rexxar consistently and almost, I wouldn't say carry the game, but at least from my potato skills, they would carry the game. So this is actually, I'm super excited about that. We do see the Decker Cane as we were talking about. That variant will be an interesting thing, but I'm assuming it's just gonna be taunt, and they're gonna look for a single target burst with something else. But Cassia to be grabbed. And honest to God, Paradox, I can't get over how good that skin looks.
Okay.
Like the skin itself and the lightning bolt. Oh, I love that.
I completely forgot about this. So I was watching them play earlier today.
Okay.
And Coffee's been practicing a lot of Cassia, and I've actually been watching the numbers of Cassia since her recent buff. Because if you guys remember, a couple weeks ago, I was talking about it and I said, why are people playing Cassia? She's got a 35% win rate. They buffed her health, they buffed her damage, they buffed a lot of stuff. I've been playing around with the auto attack build with the Joanna particularly. That is actually overpowered. I kid you not. Those two together are extremely strong. Cassia alone without the Joanna's auto attack build, 57% win rate. So she went from 35 to 57%. Cassia right now in auto attack build is really strong. Like you said, that skin's also awesome, but Cassia with Joe is extremely powerful. So I really, really like Not Safe for Work from Home's draft here.
I'm looking at Big Ding Energy, and honestly, the only thing that I don't like about it is the Rhaegar. Like I wish it was actually a Malfurion with like Strangling Vines at level 4, taunt someone, Strangling Vines, healing reduction, Jaina with the burst. Because like I don't know, like with the Jaina coming out, I was like, I don't know, this Bloodlust composition doesn't feel very Bloodlusty. Like unless this is a Twin Blades variant, but I heavily doubt we are going to get a Twin Blades variant. Like, I'm an optimist for Shogal, but come on now. Twin Blades of Fury? Nah, that's not going to be happening. But either way, let's see what happens here as we get into game number 2. On the left-hand side, we have Not Safe for Work from Home. Down in our best of 3 series, trying to take us to a game number 3. We've got Russ on the Joanna. We have Selenityy on the Tassadar. Coffee will be on the Cassia. We have Kiyeberries on the Deckard and the Turk on Leoric.
On the right side, we have Big Ding Energy, or BDE for short. And on that side, we've got AliciaWins playing Rhaegar, Jazzy playing Rexxar. We've got Mochrie on Jaina, Vipey on Varian, and Aullora playing Lunara. Yeah, I think that whenever you see a Varian in a comp, you always wonder, Twin Blades, Taunt, CS is kind of off meta. Taunt, you always want to look at the team comp and go, well, what can they blow up with this team comp? They have 1.25 seconds to blow up a target. Taunt Varian also can do about 50% of a target's health by himself because at level 1, you're taking over power, which means that every time you block an attack, you're going to do a crit. And you're taunting them, which means that you're going to be getting attacked. So you'll always be critting. You get 2 to 3 crits off, you do half someone's health. So all they need to do is have one other mage that can do half of someone's health in 1.25 seconds. And Jaina is awesome for that. So yes, I agree with you. It's not a great Bloodlust comp per se, but it is a pretty good blow-up comp.
Yeah,
so maybe they just shifted halfway along the way, and they just went with that. I do like your point about Malfurion, though, because Alicia does play a really good Malfurion, and Malfurion would work really well with Jaina. I think they probably started with the Bloodlust comp in mind, and after the Artanis ban, after the Tassadar steal, they were like, we have to change up our comp.
I agree. And it doesn't have to be Bloodlust either. You can definitely go into Ancestral Healing, which is going to be just as good. Oh, the Turk! 73 health is what I saw at. Mochrie steps a little far out into lane, force wall from Selenityy. Nice charge from Jazzy to kind of slow things down. The burst was actually delayed by that charge from the Misha Bear. So Jazzy, yes, Misha Bear all the way was the one who actually made that call happen. But camps in mid were grabbed. We still have fairly low gem counts on both of these sides. So gonna just get a little quick clear into this mid lane. And I think they'll just go back into rotations. Also to note though, Mochrie did sneak down to the bottom lane, is gonna go for the Siege Giants.
Yeah, I mean, it's relatively quick to pick up with Jaina. Blizzard does a huge portion of the health, almost 30 to 40% of the health of all of the Siege Giants on that particular camp, and then the rest of it doesn't take too long to be able to clean up. So I think that's a really solid pickup, especially since their team was already covering the soak in every other lane. But look at all the siege damage that gets done in this middle lane because of that. I mean, half of the front walls, we know the power of these turrets right now, so getting them down early is always nice.
I'm skimming through some of the talents here. We actually do have a bit of a different build here. So it is going to be static charge same at level 1, excuse me, but plasma shield at level 4 for this Tassadar. So they're going to go more into the beam rather than the electric fence, which is going to slow and deal damage over time as people are kind of too close to that one. Which I personally, especially if you're going into the force barrier at level 20, where you're going to be able to where you'll have an 8-second cooldown, that electric fence value is just so very, very strong. I'm waiting for them to kind of like brawl into each other, but I think they're just going for gems. 30. It's actually fairly close. There's like a 2-gem difference between these two teams, as they're going to pick up more, and that number will change. But 7 talents here around the corner. Maybe with 7s they'll change things up. But the one thing I want to note, it is going to be Taunt Varian.
It is. I mean, it would have been kind of crazy for them not to go taunt variant, because that means that their only real tank would be a bear. And don't get me wrong, that bear, it believes it's a tank. And all the WoW druids out there are like raging at me. They're like, I'm a bear. I play tank druid a lot, so it's okay, guys. You don't need to get mad. I'm one of you. No, but but yeah, I mean, they definitely want to go with that taunt. It's definitely gonna be their best option. So the real tricky thing, I think, in these fights is gonna be, this is a map that no one has to stay on an objective, right? This is a map that you can walk away if things start looking bad. So I think it's really going to come down to which of these teams can force the fights that they want to take, and which of these teams has the best answer for that. Taunt is a great way to set up a fight, and that barrier is going to be very punishing against every taunt that goes out. But at the same time, is the barrier enough to be able to force these fights? Oh, is the walls going to be enough? I mean, we do have subdue, and 80% slow seems like a good option if he can grab 2 people at once, which the bear does count as a person in this case.
That 80% slow, the other thing to note too is actually Misha gives another opportunity for them to finish out that subdue quest, and if you get that done, that is such an insanely powerful tool. Just anytime you hit a hero, you're going to be slowing them for 80%. That gives you insane chase value, especially with this Tassadar and the Cassia. But Blue Webweaver phase will be ending. They're going to get the front gates. Not a whole lot of value from that. Pretty much what I would say is the standard from a first Webweaver phase. This is turn availability on the side of Big Ding Energy. Will they be able to do so, or will they just be delayed out until another one's up and available for not safe for work from home? That's the question that I pose to these teams, but it's a bit of a lull right now as they kind of get in position and maybe look for some camps. Camp timing-wise, bruiser camps on both left and the right are about 20 to 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those maps that can just kind of drag out, especially on these early objectives that are rather weak, that you can clean up pretty quickly. And so if nothing really major gets done, then these games drag out, which means where you need to start looking at these teams' late games. What do they bring in the late game? As far as like level 16 power spikes, I think both of these teams bring a lot. Tassadar is very powerful around 16. Cassia is always going to be doing that % health damage to everyone. Lunara has a ton of damage over time at 16.
Yep.
I mean, both of these teams have a decent amount. Level 20 is, I think, when one team might go a little bit beyond the other one. We've got that level 20 from Lior. We have the 5-man stun from Joanna. Possibly a stay while that'll blind and sleep, blind sleep silence. I want to say not safe for work from home has a little bit of an edge after they hit 20.
I think I agree with you on that. They're radiating faiths, respect the elderly. Twilight Archon. There's actually a stay while and listen. Mochrie is going to get single target blow up, and that's a lot of gems on the ground. Vipey will be able to round the corner, pick up everything that was dropped. So not too bad. Vipey going for the sneak turn in actually. Gonna be, oh, the shield glare's just too late. And I thought actually, for some reason, I thought Vipey had 25, so I thought they had the entire turn in, but they're going to be just shy of 3. Down in bottom lane, Turk is actually pushing in, but there's also going to be a camp in mid lane pushing it. Turk, very low here. Jazzy stepping in, but Turk is just getting free healing from the bear with that Spectral Leech. Oh, can they fight? No, they end up backing off. The bear getting a little too low. Meanwhile, though, back in mid. Wait, no, hold on. March of the Black King? Paradox, what?
I mean, he might be able to just sneak a kill on Demisha, but in this case, he's not going to overcommit into that. He's just going to kind of step back and see if he can't get a turn in. I mean, they're really delaying this turn in. Now, there are pros and cons to delaying a turn in. Definitely the biggest pro is that you won't need to worry about an objective yet. But one of the cons about delaying a turn in is one of the most impactful things in this game is a double turn in. Giving them the amount of gems where they can get a double turn in is huge, because double turn ins, that's an amazing ult. Taking out Rexar, and look at the amount of gems that just got dropped. And this is the downside about dropping so many, or holding on to so many gems, is you can drop them. 40 gems were lost. That is insane. That is a huge drop. Pretty much removes the possibility of a double turn in, and now it's going to give that possibility of a double turn in over to blue side. That huge swing in objective turn in allows your team to get a big experience lead, because You get the first turn in, that usually destroys front walls, gives you a decent amount of experience, and the opposing team gets a turn in, gets front walls, gets a decent amount of experience. Your next turn in usually gets a couple forts, and then theirs gets a couple forts. So you stay even on experience. A double turn in puts your team pretty far ahead in experience, and that's what we just see on the side of not safe for work from home.
Well, we do have the turn in for them, so let's actually jump down into their comms, see what not safe for work from home is up to.
I mean, yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get daunted. Like, I knew it was to happen.
You set him up perfectly.
We want this mid fort.
Janie's gonna step up to like put a W on this wave.
Start hitting those. And rotate top. Actually, we already got this. There we go.
Okay.
Just getting 2 forts here is super good. And we're gonna hold this choke here. If they try to run up through here, okay, they're going for Turk. We get damage on the wall. Yeah, they're making a mistake.
Lunar is coming up.
Yep.
Very, very, very calm comms, as always, from Not Safe for Work from Home. We're like, all right, this is going to be intense. They're going to rush in with these web weavers. All right, let's get mid fort. Let's get top fort. Let's just back up. Like, it's insane to just listen to them be so calm, but be still so aggressive in a sense, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's honestly, it is one of those, it's just one of those things where it's like, sometimes just only saying what you need to say, right? Less is more, silence gold, whatever you want to call it. But they just keep it calm. They're like, all right, we'll take this. No worries if we don't get all the things that we want to get during this web weaver phase. We're gonna be okay. And yeah, I kind of like that, because if they lose something, they're not all like hyped up with that energy. Yeah. If you're all hyped up with that energy and you lose someone, you're like, oh no. It's like, no, they're like, hey, no worries, you know, that's not a big deal. I mean, sometimes it's definitely fun to have that energy, though. We've got a huge taunt, and then immediately shield shatters the trait, and Russ drops. And I love using Varian as a counter to Joanna Taunt Varian. You just shield shatter the trait away, and then you immediately taunt, or vice versa. You taunt, and when she uses the shield, you immediately shield shatter. That is terrifying, and that's a great turn-in. Amazing pick, getting rid of the tank before the turn-in. They are down those 3 structures, though, which is going to be a 60% passive experience deficit, but they can come back, right? They've got a good camp pushing. They still have all of their people available, and they've got this objective that is going to be pushing as well.
I, honest to God, forget about the shattering throw here and there, but let's jump into Big Ding Energy's comms. Let's see what they're doing right now.
If somebody like a squishy gets out of position, otherwise we're just chilling. Yeah. Rexar start coming up. We don't want to be too split here.
They're about to be 16 on us.
Yeah. We don't fight until 16. Like we run away right here. Damn, I'm barely in that.
Watch Mark.
I can get 2.
Yeah, it's all good. I'm dead. That's fine. Run away. Oh my god.
Catheter is so low.
Yeah, I don't think we can finish though. It's fine. I just literally was like at the very edge of that Deckard ult. It's all good.
Yeah.
I think we have turn in again. We can just go bot, beat another turn in really fast.
Yeah.
Very clean comms. They had a strategy in mind. Unfortunately, getting caught with that Deckard Cain stay while threw things off a little bit for them. But overall, I mean, like you already heard them. They had a plan in place, but Turk and friends were expecting that to happen. They were like, oh, we'll just go for this bottom turn. And they're all down here saying, no. We know what you're going for. So they're actually going to split Turk back up towards mid, towards top as well. Make sure they have that turn-in covered, and so they don't get the back-to-back. As you were talking about earlier, how much value you can get from back-to-back turn-ins here.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, like, if the turn-ins just alternate, both teams seem to always get about the same value from each of them. You get a double turn, it's huge. And that's just something that they have to always fight against for the rest of this game. We do see, I mean, both teams are actually posturing to take a fight here. I do want to point out that there is a particular combo that we have available that we'll be approaching for Big Ding Energy. I did mention that they were probably a little behind as far as level 20 goes. in terms of power. One of my favorite ones, right? Unleash the Boar's level 20 upgrade turns that slow into a root. So you can root almost the entire enemy team, and that root is long enough to follow up with a ring or just the extra root. Jaina didn't take either of those, but that's okay because it kind of gives them that extra root that they didn't have from not going that talent on Jaina, and a lot of extra damage from Water Ellie. But we see the Bloodlust going out. A lot of damage goes out on Turk, then Turk just heals back the majority of it, takes out 2 targets before he goes down, and we see Russ and Coffee just charging in there. Enemies are blinded, giving Coffee almost all of his health back while he's attacking things, and he's able to take out another target. We did see that protected coming out from his level 13 talent, War Matron, and those are some really quick kills. That is a 2-for-3 trade in favor of Not Safe for Work From Home, and they have a turn-in available. They could potentially go for boss, but I wouldn't recommend it. Simple turn-in, push with that. Leoric will come back a little bit faster.
Also to note, I mean, this map works in the sense of the Web Weaver descends as far up as the enemy minion wave is. So even though they're pushing back these waves, all 3 of these Web Weavers will crash near the front gates. Mid lane's going to be a little bit further out, but this is a great Web Weaver phase for the side of Not Safe for Work From Home. Even though they don't really have 2 members. I was about to say they're about to have their Leoric back, but apparently they went down as they were trying to free push into bottom lane. Turk making choices, but waits for the wall to go down. They're actually going to step in here, providing some vision for their team and just harassing Mochrie, it looks like.
I mean, it doesn't do any damage, but that slow is annoying, and there's always that thought that's like, wait, can I get away before he hits to get his health bar back, right? And am I just giving him a health bar faster? Because Turk got dropped at the start of this Web Weaver, and he's almost up already, and now he's like, whoa, wait, I'm getting up a little too fast, so he needs to step away from the group. Fight is being forced since Turk is currently dead, but Turk will be able to get back by the time this fight gets serious, and he's up, and look at all of those rubies available. Russ just walks up, picks up a couple of them. Again, something like 12 to 15 little potions just surrounding the enemies.
Web Weaver phase will end. They don't really get much outside of some front walls, a little bit of keep damage, but I'm watching the minimap just to see if they're going to go for boss. Not going to be the case. They have 107 gems on the side of Big Ding Energy. They're looking for a turn-in, but they're just not able to. There's going to be a sentinel from Aullora allowing them to see that they're invading onto their camp, and it is 20 talent tiered well, so it's not like they really want to step into this. Do want to point out, it's going to be Infinite Ball Lightning.
Yup, Infinite Ball Lightning, Infinite Archon, Death March. Whether the fight goes slow or the fight goes long, they have answers to both. We also have perfect gems available, which means a lot of rubies are going to be going out. Nearly, every 5 seconds or something, we should be having a ruby go out because it reduces the cooldown of ruby to 5 seconds and the cooldown of your W to 6, but you're going to be near your team the whole time, which will reduce the cooldown to 5 seconds. So a ruby every 5 seconds is going to be pretty intense when you've got a Joanna who can just kind of run around in circles and out-heal everything.
I'm watching minimap to see what they're going to do here on the side of Big Ding Energy. It looks like they're going to opt for the turn-in. They might know that they're on boss. There's going to be a force wall from Selenityy just to block anyone from invading. They jump onto Turk. They're going to get the taunt as well. A lot of damage. I think Boars just went out as well. Leaping Strike. Bloodlust was used? I don't know about that Bloodlust, but hey, they get the kill, and they should have enough for a turn-in here.
It's bold to use a lot of ultimates to take out one person. Yes, death timers are long, but it's even more bold to use all of those onto a Leoric who can just come back. Huge subdue. The subdue quest gets finished. A lot of rubies just sitting around, full heal Russ, and then they start going on to the next target, which is Vipey. Vipey gets taken out. Despite having that turn-in, they might actually be able to close out this game right here. Leoric will be back up, and they can head up to top where they still have a boss pushing at half health if they want to go for it, and that's what they're doing. They're heading over there. They have Infinite Archon, which does a ton of siege damage, and they still have that boss. The boss will close out right here, but they have 5 people versus 2, and it seems very similar to the situation we just saw at the end of that last game, but in this case, we still have Stay a While available that can lock everyone out, being used to lock everyone out, and we also still have that Infinite Archon did get dropped, unfortunately, so it's going to be a little bit harder to end here because they won't have as much siege damage as the other team had. They're going to just split up. Selenity's getting rather low. Kiyeberries getting rather low. They both go to pick up a bunch of potions. and we just see Turk and Coffee doing as much damage as they can, but Coffee's almost dead too. This might not be an end. I mean, Mochrie's getting them low, but I think Turk should be able to finish this up. 5%, 4%, 2%, and that is going to be game number 2. That will be putting both of these teams at a 1-1. And it can go either way. I mean, both of these games looked like one team was dominant. And so what's going to happen in this third game, now that both of these teams have seen what the other one does when they ban their major pieces, right? One team bans the Deathwing, and then they get Artanis. And now they ban the Artanis and the Deathwing's banned, and now they win. So it's like, both of these teams are going to need to think fast, because the strategies that they thought were going to work and the strategies that did work have now just been flipped. So it's going to be really crazy to see what these teams have for us in this third game. And again, I'm excited to see what map we go to. Are they going to just give up the map again? Is the other team BDE? Are they going to give up the map pick so they can get that first pick? That means they could steal away the Leoric, but are they good enough with Leoric to make it worth it? I don't know.
This is just such an exciting best of 3 series that we're starting out with, and we can see right now it's 1-up on both sides. For anyone wondering, this is a best of 3 series, and we're in the upper bracket of our page playoff bracket. When we get into our next best of 3 series, we'll be getting into the Little Rubies versus Pentanoms. That is a tournament life best of 3. So whoever loses that is done. CCL Season 2 is over for that team. But before we get into game number 3 for our first best of 3 of the evening to decide who's going to the grand finals right away and who drops into the losers bracket, we got to go to a quick break, let these teams get a little bit of water, and we'll be right back with more Community Clash League. See you all very, very soon.
Welcome back to Season 2, Week 4 of the Community Clash League by Heroes Hearth. We are in game number 3 of our first set, and it's been wild. I mean, one team just played so well and dominated the first game, then a domination in the second game, and it's like from the opposite team. So this game 3 is anyone's game. It could go anywhere, and both of these teams have to really look at what caused them to win and what caused them to lose and adjust accordingly. And it's going to be really, really difficult for these teams because it seemed like they both had a backup plan in case those things got banned. I was watching Not Safe for Work from Home practice, and they were practicing this Cassia comp. I think they had a feeling that Greymane might get banned, so they practiced this Cassia comp. And on the other side, they had a plan for if Artanis, if Ragnaros was banned, they would switch to Artanis, but then Artanis got banned, they just struggled. So it's really back and forth. It's gonna be a tricky one.
I don't know if for you or because you had a little bit of T-Pain remix on, but I think I kind of got what you're getting at. Apparently, so is Discord issues this evening. Sorry everyone. Very, 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 very sorry about that. Unfortunately, I don't know if there's anything we can do. I can't do anything to change our server location to potentially give us a better or a new connection. So I'm sorry, it's rollback. It is. We will. I don't know. What's our quick fix for us? Oh, we're back. Okay, yeah. I'm literally just staring at the voice connection, like, go green, please. But we're back. Okay, all right. So, all right, back to your point. What point were you making beforehand, so that way everyone at home
I'll just repeat it. But I think both of these teams had a backup, and they've added some redundancy. But the problem is they didn't have a backup for backup, right? So when Greymane was banned, they've been practicing that Cassia composition pretty much all day. And then on the opposing side, when Ragnaros was banned, they've been practicing that Artanis composition. So they both had that, but I think the big issue is the redundancy was lacking. When Artanis got banned, they were like, wait a second. Ragnaros was banned, Artanis was banned, our backup was just banned, and we didn't have a backup to the backup. And I think that's where it's really going to throw these teams is, do they have this like full redundancy for all of their strategies, or are they just going to bring in a completely different strategy? And I think that's really where I'd like to see. And I mean, this game 3 is going to be wild, and it's on my favorite map, which is Infernal Shrines.
Infernal Shrines, a lot of good. So it's another rotation heavy base map, much like how we had with Tomb of the Spider Queen. But we're going to be seeing fights over the skeletal defenders rather than the gems, and that's when things like the Mephisto become more powerful. Heroes that can poke, like Kel'Thuzad actually does really well here because people are clumping up, and that really gives them opportunities to be able to really pop off and also build those stacks. I need to harass one of the teams to see if they are ready, but that's the big thing for Infernal Shrines, I think, is going to be considering the fight over the shrine. Like, do we see Sonya? She's really, really strong on the shrine herself. Do we see Sylvanas because she's able to lock down towers and they can push in harder with her? Like, there's just so many questions that I have that we will be able to answer here because we are ready. We are getting into it. And game number 3 to decide which team walks into the grand finals and which team has to make a bottom bracket run. We go to Infernal Shrines for game number 3 of our first best of 3 of the evening. Paradox, I love this, but do you think it's going to be our standard bans? You know, ban out Turk, ban out Aullora, and Mochrie.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change anything up right now, right? What's working, they're slowly building upon what's working and finding ways to make it work more. You don't want to change the things that you know for sure are working. And I think both of these teams have determined the bans that at least get them there. So we're seeing the Rag ban, we're seeing the Lost Vikings ban, we're going to see a Tracer ban, and then that last ban is going to be a little questionable. I think on this map, you have to get rid of Deathwing, though. He's very strong in this map, and this is the map that they lost on against that Deathwing, and it just isn't going to work. So this next ban, I would say, has to be Deathwing.
Yeah, I would expect it to be our standards. I mean, like, they're so confident in these bans, they're just rolling through them. They're just like, okay, yes, this is the same bans we've had for the last 2 games. We know them. There's no cheekiness with this. But this is once again first pick on the side of not safe for work from home.
Yeah,
I'm looking at this and I'm like, do they change anything up? Like the Joanna was so strong, but do they want to lock in that Tassadar early? Or do they get the Leoric?
Oh, they're stealing the Rhaegar away. That's interesting because they don't need to worry about a Bloodlust comp anymore from the opposing team, but now they have to worry about the opposing team getting Deckard. I think the one benefit, though, is Alicia doesn't actually play a lot of Deckard. She plays a little bit, but they don't need to worry about Deckard being banned in the later rotations. I don't think they're worried about the opposing team taking Leoric, and this next rotation, they can grab Leoric and Mal'Ganis since they took that Rhaegar. They do give over Joanna and Tassadar, though, but again, they get that Mal'Ganis and they get that Leoric without needing to have them contested at all, and they're able to steal away the Rhaegar. So that's bold, but I like it.
Actually, you just said Mal'Ganis, and I love the idea of a Mal'Ganis right here.
Yeah, I worked on the rest of these maps. He was pretty much unkillable against the opposing team, and I don't know if Tassadar brings out enough damage to threaten him. Ooh, Orphea. She's been buffed relatively recently. She's rather strong right now.
Yes.
Orphea has multiple builds which can work. In the competitive in Europe, we've been seeing a lot more of the E build, but we've also been seeing some of the hybrid from her trait. Not too many Q builds in Europe, but in North America, a lot of Q builds have been coming out, and all of which have been doing really, really well. Orphea has been sitting at about a 56% win rate. Rather strong hero right now.
They will ban out the Mal'Ganis, so they're like, all right, you don't have a main tank. Let's try and, you know, we don't want to deal with that sleep fest, because that was literally it was 2 weeks ago, I think it was, when Selenityy played Tassadar on this map, and Russ got the Mal'Ganis, and it was just absolutely terrifying. It was like Night Rush into Force Wall into Shock Ray, and the person was dead. Like, that's not something I want to deal with whatsoever. They're actually going to ban out the Decker Cane. They just don't want to deal with it. And
yeah,
with AliciaWins is a very, very strong support player in general. So even though she might not have Decker Cane as practiced up as other heroes, I don't think it'd be a big struggle for them. And just getting rid of that Ruby value, all of that value makes a lot of sense. But things like Ana are up and available. I don't know if she plays in Ana, but Ana plus Tassadar, I feel like that could be a little disgusting with the nano boost. But even then, I still like a Malfurion too. I think the poke potential is really strong with it. You also get some good roots that set you up for Tassadar and Lunara to get a lot of damage in there. We'll have to see what happens here. Once again, though, are the Artanis for Jazzy, and we see an Anubarak. Huh.
So again, this is another thing that I've been watching them practice. I would imagine it's a Greymane, yeah. It's Coffee. They already have a mage, so I don't see him playing Alarak or anything. But yeah, I've been seeing him play Anubarak, and one of the things that Russ really likes about Anubarak, and he's mentioned this a lot, Anubarak has one of the longest range engages as far as tanks go. The downside about having a long range engage is that your team can't really follow up on it because you dive so far away from your team. With Bloodlust, you could actually get your team to catch up to you a little bit, and then you can jump in there. Bloodlust works really well with Orphea as well because you gain that extra healing off of your auto attack, so going like trait build would do quite a bit to that, and you can buff your damage as well. Double blinds, triple blinds actually, Artanis, Lily, and Joanna against the Bloodlust comp is very powerful. I kind of wish they threw in a Cassia at this point with how many blinds that they have.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the draft chat right now. It's just Vipey in all caps in single lines. Ready for what? Adventure! Like, oh my god. Even like Kiyeberries is just like, I'm shook. This is just, I'm surprised by the Lily. Like, it's just something that isn't played competitively very, if ever, often. And I'm not saying it's bad by any means. She's got value. It's just, I don't know, like, I'm never really sold on a Lily. I don't know. It feels like it can be punished. You can just collapse on it and it's just done. Especially with the dive from Greymane, Rhaegar, Anubarak, mobility from Orphea. I don't know. I feel like this Lily is going to have a rough game this game. Yeah, Paradox.
I mean, if she gets CC'd, then you're in trouble. If you don't get CC'd, she can be pretty valuable. But saying that, let's get into game number 3. Not safe for work from home. On the left side, blue team, we have Coffee playing Greymane, Turk on Leoric, Russ on Anubarak. We've got Kiyeberries on Rhaegar, and we've got Selenityy on Orphea.
And on the right-hand side, we got the members of Big Ding Energy. We've got AliciaWins on Lily, Aullora playing the Lunara, Vipey on that Joanna, Mochrie will be on the Tassadar, and Artanis on excuse me, I said that backwards. Jazzy on the Artanis. Either way, let's go ahead and get into mid lane. Map number 3, Infernal Shrines. Who takes this one? I'm ecstatic about this because this is the first team to take a game off of not safe for work from home in 3 weeks.
Yo.
And the top lane cheese comes out.
Hey, I mean, it works. If you've got a Nubarak or you've got Sylvanas, you can definitely take out a quick tower. It's not a lot of experience, but in the current tower changes, getting rid of a tower early is really nice if you ever want to do future dives. And with the Nubarak, diving is kind of in your nature, so you're going to definitely want to have that capability, and that's what it starts off. We see immediately a dive onto Aullora, doing a ton of damage on Aullora, finishing off by a huge amount of burst from Orphea. I mean, she did 70% of Allora's health very quickly. It was absolutely brutal to see that much damage. So if that's what we're going to see out of this comp, it's going to be terrifying for that Lily to try to deal with. Definitely needs to be a cleanse at level 7.
Oh god, no, absolutely. Especially when Orphea gets Ancestral Strength from level 1 that just benefits from any sort of stuns, roots, silence, or slows. She gets damage, and then if she uses her actual trait on that, there's a slow on top of it. So Azir's I think Orphea is very, very undervalued, much like Mephisto. Like Mephisto is everyone's starting to figure out. They're just we just play them on maps where people group up, like Infernal Shrines, Volskaya Foundry, Towers of Doom, things like that. Mephisto starts to show up, but here I think Orphea, especially on this map, really, really shines because of how clumped up everyone is, and she can build a lot of stacks on her overwhelming power, if I believe, overflowing chaos. But we are going to be getting into those rotations. 4 Talonteers coming through. A little bit of an experience lead in favor for not safe for work from home as they got that tower, as well as an initial kill to start things out on map number 3.
Yeah, I mean, early kills are, again, they're not worth too much experience, but it could be the difference between one team hitting 10 slightly before the other team, or hitting 7 slightly before the other team, and that's all that really matters. And if you hit 4, again, they hit 4 a little bit earlier, they were able to take the neutral camp down in the bottom, and they took it relatively easily. Now, as we're approaching this first objective, which will be in the bottom lane, as well as it will be a frozen Punisher, that's going to be pretty valuable early on. Normally, you want to see frozen as early as you can because it can turn off the enemy structures so that you can do a little bit more damage, especially since the Punishers scale really well into the late game. So having frozen early and then mortar late is kind of the best thing that you can hope for.
First shrine is going to be frozen. Good siege coming out from that, but what I've actually been seeing a lot of teams do is just kind of grab the first objective and walk away and just go and siege another lane. And with them diving into the top lane, I wonder if they consider that. But speaking of top lane, Artanis is getting dove on, gonna try and get the blade dash, but they get picked off, and that will be, I believe, Greymane staying behind. I was waiting to see if they leave someone up. Okay, they're gonna leave Turk behind to clear out the shaman. They're gonna neander their way down towards this objective, but Mochrie, very far away. I mean, they probably didn't expect them over here, but they're gonna get caught out right before this objective phase. That's Turk clearing that out. I wonder if Turk actually just stays up there, continues to clear, and gets sieged while the rest of the team grabs the objective. The one thing to note, though, is they need to get down here quick. Big Ding Energy already halfway through their skeleton defenders.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the first objective is rather weak, so if you can get structure damage in another lane, you can definitely go for it. There was a strategy that I had watched for a while, and it was pretty much picking Azmodan, going the summons build, and picking the opposite lane of the first objective of any map, and you would almost always, I added up and it was well over 90% of games, you get more value out of doing that than the first objective ever would. And
so you're saying Azmodan's a very good hero?
Well,
all right, cool. Thanks for Paradox now. All of you, clip it. That's what it is. Azmodan is good. Paradox said it. Either way. No, but you're not wrong. The split push build that Azmodan can pick up on a map like this can be more detrimental than a Punisher, and I absolutely agree. Right now, though, this Punisher is just tearing through this bottom lane as they open up the front gate. Mochrie trying to poke out. Did go into the Cyan Fusion at level 1, so not going to be building up that Shockray value whatsoever, but Punisher's still locking down the tower. They step in. They might get a fort in bottom lane. That's big for a first objective.
Yeah, it really, really is. I mean, we're immediately getting that first one. We've talked about this so many times. That first Punisher rarely ever takes a full fort. It normally jumps over, dies, and you usually get the front walls, right? You destroy the 2 towers, the wall, and maybe if you're lucky, you grab like the fountain for future objectives in that lane, which relatively rare that'll happen, but it does happen. And so in this case, this is a pretty powerful Punisher to get right away, and they're almost a level ahead. Closing in on level 10s first would make it to where they could go for a major play if they want to.
Gonna grab some camps around the map, just making sure they're keeping that experience up in their favor and getting closer and closer to those 10s as you noticed. Really quick, Shaw, thank you for the 1,000 bits and pushing that prize pull up for us as we are... No, I was watching minimap and I was like, are they gonna try and go for any sort of invade towards bottom lane? Because they can see them down there, and they look like they were starting to. And actually, Anubrak is exactly doing that, but the Wisp is gonna scout them out, and I think they just back off. I think they were looking to maybe collapse behind them, look for a flank, especially with their heroics. Greymane is gonna be going for the throat. No Cursed Bolt this game, so really gonna be playing this aggressive Greymane. And you were mentioning it's triple blinds with an auto attack based heroic. Can you blind out, go for the throat? I'm trying to think.
No, you can't blind out go for the throat. It is still an ability.
Yeah, because it's a slashing, so that's why I was like,
yeah,
it's physical.
It's still an ability. You can't blind it. But there are certain ones, anything that augments an actual auto attack, like where it says you jump and then do an auto attack, then you can actually blind it. So like Ragnaros' Q, for example, you can blind that. But other than that, we do have a little bit. It looks like Not Safe for Work from Home's trying to make a play here, but I don't expect too much to come from this right now. We're closing in on level 10s for both teams, and they're just playing safe until that level 10. But yeah, all those blinds against that Greymane, I feel bad. Like Greymane's not going to have a lot of fun this game, but the rest of the team should still be able to do okay even throughout all of those blinds.
This has been very, very similar to the Not Safe for Work from Home games that we've seen in the past. As the Blessed Shield comes out, there's going to be Archon Form, Crushing Jaws. There's going to be a web wrap as well onto the Tassadar, and they just disengage from that. But I was going to say, like, this is looking very much like a lot of those Not Safe for Work from Home games in the past. Like, they push up, they're aggressive, they constantly are adding things and just stepping. Like, look at the minimap right now. Watch them rotate in the bottom lane and get in position for either a pick, as they're gonna go for that. Yeah, like look at Russ right now. Like it's just this constant aggression, and they're gonna catch out Mochrie right there. There's no way you live through that one. The chomp comes through, and like this is what we've seen in previous weeks, and I was surprised in game 1 that they weren't playing this aggressive. We saw it a little bit more so in game number 2, but now it's just that full. They're just like, we want to go into that grand finals. We don't want to play next week. We want to watch you try and make a run through the bottom bracket, and we'll see if that'll be the case. As we do have them pushing this bottom lane, keep front gate, leaping strike from Lunar coming out, Crushing Jaws. Excuse me, not Crushing Jaws, just the chomp from the Orphea. There's a Bloodlust, a blind as well. Jugs from Lily gonna heal up a couple members. Alicia trying to stay on that far side of that Jugs to make sure they don't get interrupted. But this is a continued chase. Blessed Shield comes out. They're going to find Coffee, and they get the kill in the chase. Can they find another one as Orphea is a little bit... Oh, wait. That dash did not go in the right direction, and Selenityy, I think, makes it out.
I believe so, yeah. I believe Selenityy should be fine here, and Turk was able to take almost half of the objective, more than half the objective. Yeah. And at the same time, I mean, he should be able to close out this objective. And the closer he gets to level 20, I mean, we've seen Turk's Leoric on this map. Like you said, they were undefeated all the way up until this previous area, and this is one of the reasons why is they end up on this map a lot. And whenever Turk gets Leoric on this map, he pretty much just pops R, gets to level 20, pops R once, wins the objective, wins the game. And so that's the thing, is now they are leaving it at 39. What that does is that makes it to where you can take the objective whenever you want to, because the Mortar Punisher scales into the late game. It is a common strategy to try to hold that off so it scales longer before you pick it up, because it gains 18 damage per explosion per minute that it's been in the game, and it fires in bursts of 5. So you can add that up really quickly. That's nearly 100 damage per minute that's being added up every minute that you're waiting in the game. It gets pretty brutal. So normally you want to hold at 39, wait until your team has an advantage, and then pick it up. In this case, they waited until their team was all grouped up, had already a camp pushing with it. So now they're going to have a Mortar Punisher. They waited for the 9-minute mark. So that's an extra 100 damage as well per barrage of rockets, as well as they have a camp pushing. It's a pretty powerful strategy that they just did right there.
They push in with this Punisher. They're gonna have a good leap over the wall. It's gonna focus onto the well over in the top lane. It's on the bottom of your screen. Vipey steps forward. I believe there's a Blood Shield that came out. Force Wall, Coffee getting very low. Gonna try and raise his right away. Crushing Jaws comes out from the Orpheus. Well, Bloodlust will be there, and they're looking to try and step in, but just Greymane is so very low. The Turk is just doing whatever the Turk does best, which is gonna use March of the Black King, but it seems like they're going to get picked off. Meanwhile, the Punisher was still sieging during all of this, gonna get some decent damage onto the keep, but without that Leoric and with that fight being so split in favor of Big Ding Energy, they're gonna be keeping this top lane. Really well played by them. They just kind of split that fight and forced them out.
Yeah, and again, that AoE blind countering a huge piece of Bloodlust. I mean, it turns Bloodlust into pretty much just Lucio's E, right? Just some extra movement speed, and that's all you really get. And so that's a really... It's a pretty good counter. The downside is they're getting closer and closer to level 20, which is where their main power lies. You get Re1 on Anubarak, and Anubarak has almost enough damage to drop a target. You're going to have that level 20 March. You're going to have the range, the really long range on Greymane, and then possibly the longer Bloodlust if they want to go that route. And that means that those two blinds are not going to last 16 seconds, right? So that will really make that Bloodlust very different. So we'll definitely see as this game starts approaching closer to level 20s.
We do have 16 talent tier advantage, a solid 2-level lead in favor for Not Safe for Work From Home. I'm just curious really quickly, let me look here. I'm wondering what the major breakdown is. It's going to be about 4,000 from minions, 2,000 from passive, near 2K in structures. These are the deficits that I'm bringing up here. So those are the massive ones, actually. It's honestly been the siege in this game has yielded them a lot higher of a lead. Obviously, the kills are neck and neck as they get a web wrap onto Aullora. Burrow charge forward. They're going to look to... There's actually a cleanse onto them, but they dive forward. Greymane went for the throat, or did they go for the throat? It's off cooldown, and they like that. Lunara existed and then didn't, and they didn't even actually use go for the throat. So now they step in through top lane. They're going for a keep. They're actually posturing to end game here. Wait, no. Okay, they're backing up because they were looking to play to the far side of this keep, and I was like, no, they're going into NParadox. They want to just take this. They got the kill on Lunara. Mochrie pops the Archon form. They step further forward into them. They don't find any damage or a kill. As this is looking a little sideways as Russ gets out with a sliver of health. Mochrie needs just a single sneeze on them, but they don't get it. Jazzy ends up going down. There's the go for the throat. And 2 are dead. Actually, Allura is just about to come back up. So 1 dead. They actually maybe move into mid lane, and they're going to be able to get a keep there. Or they could go into bottom and maybe go for a keep down there as well. They got some options if they want to play this still aggressive.
They definitely do. I also want to point out like a small thing that is kind of interesting about this particular draft. Now, how I said like you need to have like a redundancy for your backup plan, and I think this is partly more just research. But Russ has been practicing Anubarak, and he's been practicing Anubarak going W build. I want to point out that the level 7 talent Chitinous Plating, every time you take a set of damage, it reduces the cooldown of your W. As long as your W is running. And against Lunara, you're always going to get the lowest possible cooldown on your W, which makes it to where he literally practiced something to beat this opposing team. Banrag forces them to pick Lunara, and then he goes Anubarak. But with that being said, we are in this particular one. Do you want to head into comms of like not safe for work from home?
Yeah, absolutely.
Play slow here. We don't have to like go all in. They want us to fight right away. Like
it's hard for me to not go all in, but I'm backing out.
I do have ult.
He's looking for that swap right here.
Wait. You guys have tap or no?
Yeah.
Everyone pre-tap. Everyone pre-tap and we're gonna go.
Pre-tap. Go. Well, drink.
Game. Everyone get your drink.
And all right, let's go.
Drinks on me.
Ooh, say less.
I'm on pass.
Yeah, man.
If I could reach, I would. Truly.
Pretty all in on pass there. I think I got him.
I bullied Johanna out of the whole world.
We can
Let's
chase.
get the thing.
Chase.
Slow down.
All right, yeah, Artanis right there. Joe, maybe? Oh,
Got him.
that coffee?
Yeah, I mean, she's
Alicia?
fast, but like, if we could just...
No survivors.
Got her. Wait, coughing is in.
Don't die, dude, the tower.
I don't have any. Come here.
Hey, heal him.
Harp.
What the fuck?
Rico.
I think you guys.
Red team's core is under attack.
And with that, they're going to be taking game number 3 here on Infernal Shrines.
Not yet.
You know what? I was saying that, and then I look up and I was like, death timers are low. They actually just get double keep and they back out, but still, they end up team wiping and objectives up still.
Yeah, I mean, that fight was a weird one. To explain everything that happened, they all pre-tapped the fountains so that they pretty much had a heal camp running during that entire fight. That's essentially the same amount of healing and mana brought back from a heal camp. And so they had a heal camp on a map that doesn't even have a heal camp. And they used that so that they could take an unfavorable fight, which we saw was a very awkward fight.
Yeah.
And they could still come out advantageous because of that call. It was a very, very risky call because, Turk's going in. He has his ult, though, and he has the level 20 march. So he's just going to be able to heal through all of that. You can't let Turk get level 20. It's just not going to work.
He marked every single person was pulling health, and they just lived through 5 members hitting them. That's going to be a new bracket. Joanna traded out. Greyman goes for the throat, finds the Lunar, but then it's going to be an absolute back and forth trade. There's just Turk and Coffee left. Alicia's trying to make it back to the Hall of Storms. They're so slowed, but they have those fast feet. Coffee says, you know what, I'll join the Punisher and I want to end game. I want to go to the grand finals. The GGs are already called out. There's the dive onto Lily. They wipe the enemy team, and now with the Punisher, they go for core. That will be big ding energy going down, and the members of Not Safe for Work from Home going into the grand finals. GGs. God, what a good series. Holy crap.
It was a really good series. I mean, I was expecting a close one, but I wasn't expecting it to be that close. That was very solid. I mean, Not Safe for Work from Home, they went back to their roots. This is like almost the same comp that they ran, very, very close to the comp that they ran in one of their earlier games that's also won on this map. So they played this so well. They really, really did. So much of this game came down to just a bunch of little plays and the shot calling from Russ to make sure that everyone, even the fights he knew were going to be at a disadvantage. He's like, well, we're going to be taking a fight that's going to be bad. We've been losing team fights. This one's going to be bad. Instead, let's pre-tap. Let's go in. We just need to win blank. Like, we just need to get this much. And man, that shot calling really made the difference. I don't think they would have won that last objective if he didn't do exactly what he did to set up that objective.
Well, we can go ahead and update the scoring for all of you so you can all see what that looks like right now. So, actually, excuse me, the bracket, not scoring. So you can see, Not Safe for Work from Home, they're in the grand finals, the unweighted best of 7 series, full 7 games. They're going to be playing in that one. Big Ding Energy now needs to make a run through the bottom bracket. And we have Little Rubies versus Pentanoms coming up next. But before we get into that, you know what we need to do? Do you know what we need to do? We need to talk to Russ and find out their thoughts on this game. So let's go ahead and we're going to rip Russ right out of their friendly chat and welcome Russ. Congratulations on your 2-1 victory. How are you all feeling after that wonderful best of 3 series?
Feeling good after we dropped the first game. You know, it was nice to win the last 2.
So I have like one massive question just at the start here is game number 1. That is the first game in CCL season 2 you've lost. What was it? Was it the consistent dive into you? They were just getting onto Kiyeberries consistently. What was it that really kind of held that game over for them?
I played pretty badly, and Bloodlust is just like super strong, and we fought in spots against Tassadar that were pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Even when it looked like maybe we had a chance to kill him. But yeah, it just went badly. The Bloodlust is really strong.
Paradox?
Yeah, I mean, the game 1 was really the thing that I was going to ask a lot about as well, just because it was the only game you guys lost. I mean, the Artanis pickup was something in that game that you guys decided to ban in the next game. Was it mainly because you also gave them Bloodlust again, and you're like, we don't want to deal with Artanis as well as Bloodlust? Or was there something else? Do you think the Artanis was a big piece of that?
So I'm kind of an Artanis main, so I've played a lot of the matchup Artanis versus Leo, and I think it's pretty good. And with this stacking patch, with the stacking talent that Artanis has now, I think it's really it's a good matchup and you can stack off them pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we got destroyed by swaps the game before. In the last fight of game 1, I bolted out right into a swap and to my death. So that was like pretty tough. But yeah, I mean, I think Artanis is a fine pick on some maps.
And now, to add to that, it was such a major shift in priority in that second game. In the third game, you let Artanis through, but you took the Bloodlust away. Did you figure like, okay, if we take Bloodlust away, it's okay if they get Artanis? Or did you kind of forget that Artanis is in there? Or did you figure, hey, you know what, Infernal Shrines, like, we'll probably get 20 and we don't need to worry about Artanis? What was your thought process on game 3?
It was a combination of those two, and what did I ban? Deckard? I kind of regretted.
Artanis ever, dude. I don't know. Artanis was never the problem, I thought, from the first.
Dude,
no?
We lost fights based off swaps.
Really?
We did.
For anyone at home who doesn't know, Turk has just joined us.
Hello.
For anyone who's like, wait, there's another voice. It's Turk. Just in case anyone was wondering.
Sorry, I said hello, but I was muted. MB.
You're okay. At this point, I just kind of expect you to show up at a point in the interview. So welcome. But so essentially, Russ is saying that the swaps from Artanis were really strong, but Turkey didn't feel that way.
No, I mean, if they feel my 4-man got rolled up, so I assume they were strong. I don't know. Better offlaner wins.
Did we get rolled up? I didn't think we got rolled up. Did we?
Game number 1, I was not feeling confident about my teammates. You guys were. It was dings everywhere. You guys were dying more than Leoric. All right, I'll be honest. I was fighting against 3 people. The last objective that they captured, you guys were 4 top. Hang on, we're having an in-team discussion now. You guys don't need to be here for this.
I don't want to hear it.
NotParadox, you guys can leave for a second if you could give us some privacy. You guys got rolled 4v2 up there. I was against 3. That's it. I'm done.
I will actually, I do have a quick question for Turk. That last engagement in the last map, Infernal Shrines, where you basically just marched the Black King and marked
1v9. 1v9, yes.
Yeah, you 1v5 or 1v9.
Yeah.
What were your teammates' comms like? Because we actually just jumped out of comms after, like, right before that happened. Was everyone like, "Oh my god, get him"? Or are you just sitting there, just like, "I'm fine, like, I win this"?
No, he said he was dead.
No, I'm dead. But then I said, "Oh," and then I pause champed, and then they knew. As soon as the pause champ came up, as soon as I owed, they showed up. It was lit. That was a good fight.
Well, before we get into any shoutouts, Paradox, do you have any closing questions, or do you want to jump in?
No more questions. We can get right into shoutouts.
Yeah. So, Russ, do you have any shoutouts for anyone?
I don't really have shoutouts. Shout out to my team. Shout out to CCL, Heroes Hearth. That's it.
Turk?
Yeah, shout outs to my team as well, man. After game 1, we cleaned it up. That was pretty good. Yeah, not bad. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. No particular shout outs this time either.
Alrighty. Well, you two enjoy.
Hey, wait. Actually, there's a shout out. Hang on. Stop banning the same shit so that we don't draft the same shit. Please, man. Mix it up. Know what I'm saying to all the teams out there. Maybe diversify your ban pool. ? It's up to you guys. Completely up to you. Okay, that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for the interview. We'll throw you back into your team chat so you can celebrate. Alrighty, everyone. That does not do it for us this evening. We have another best of 3 coming up in a minute, but we need to take a little break. We got to get some players into a lobby, and we'll see you all very, very soon for our next best of 3 series, which is in the lower bracket. This is for Tournament Life. Someone's going home. We'll see you after the break.